And thank you for coming to Hawkeye's House of Horrors today. I'm Hawkeye, and I'm going to do a review now to the next installment in the Halloween series. That is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. This one is kind of the ugly brother. It actually has nothing to do with any of the other Halloween films and does not have Michael Myers in it as a character. He does show up on the TV and stuff, which is cool. But I'm going to do a review for that today. Now, the first time I saw this film, I think I was around 11, maybe 12 years old at the time. It was me and a great buddy when I was a kid, Justin. We watched this, we rented it, took it home, and watched it. I think I was like with a sleepover and everything like that. And I think we knew going in Michael Myers wasn't in it. But we were still looking for him. We were waiting for him, and I don't think we liked it all that much. Through the years, after seeing it multiple times since the first time I saw it, mostly through the 90s, when I was a teenager, I began watching it a lot more often, and I actually liked it. I had a soft spot in my heart for the ugly brother of the Halloween films. I liked it. When I watch it now, uh, it doesn't quite do it for me. Um, I can't give this a passing grade in my opinion, but I might be able to recommend this to certain people. I would say people who maybe like a nice Halloween story, because that's what you've got here. It's a story to do with Halloween. And it's certainly a horror film. Um, a great villain, I will say that, or a very good villain, anyways. Um, or perhaps maybe if Michael Myers ain't your bag, if you're not really into Michael Myers, maybe this one's more up your alley. But I'm going to give a review for it. Things I did like and things I didn't like, and things that just kept it on that side of the fence for me of not quite good enough, in my opinion. But there's some interesting tidbits here about this film for sure. So this one was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. This was his directorial debut. Um, he went on to direct other horror films. That was kind of what he was mostly known for. He did a lot of like TV movies, I think, later on in his career. But one, for example, this was in 1990, I think, Stephen King's It for television. He directed that, as well as Fright Night Part 2, a good vampire flick from the late 80s. Now, this one was written by Wallace, as well as an uncredited John Carpenter, who wrote the first two Halloweens, directed the first one, and an uncredited Nigel Neal as well. Now, I remember him. He did the screenplay to a great horror film from 1989, I believe, The Woman in Black, um, based on a novel. I feel terrible. I forget the novelist's name, but it was a great flick. British. It might have been on BBC, so it may have been a television movie as well. Very low on gore, but my oh my, it was great within creating terror without showing the gore. Now, he's also known for doing the Quartermass films, which I believe was back in the 50s. They redid them again, I think, in the 60s. I've never seen any of those films. I need to get to see those. Um, that was a big thing he was known for. And as I was reading, a big reason why he was brought in to write the screenplay. He was very influential within the Quartermass series to people like John Carpenter. Now, this is Halloween 3, no Michael Myers. Well, originally, Carpenter and producer Deborah Hill originally wanted a bunch of Halloween stories, not just involving Michael Myers. So they went back to that with Season of the Witch, um, a story that deals with Halloween, not Michael Myers, and is going with that. Now, in my opinion, um, it's not like this wrecks it or, oh, that's the reason why I don't like this movie. But I think audiences would have been much more receptive if it was just called Season of the Witch. Drop Halloween from the title and just call it that. Unfortunately, I think that needed to be added in order for them to get the financing or the budget they wanted for this, which is too bad because Carpenter was creating good films at the box office. They were cranking out cash for them. So it would have been, I believe, more receptive at the time if they went that way instead of calling it Halloween 3. Now, I was unaware of this. I found out that the original director of the film was going to be Joe Dante. Um, that kind of excites me. He, at this time, would have been just coming off The Howling, released in 1981. I love that flick. But he also went on to do Gremlins. That was a big one he was known for. But at this time, he was definitely early on in his horror film career, but he was starting to crank out some movies that did well at the box office. Now, supposedly it was him who recruited Neil to write the script um, because Dante was so influenced by the Quartermass series as well. Now, unfortunately, Dante quit uh, the directorial job in this to direct his part of the Twilight Zone, the movie that was released in 1983. But he had to jump ship from this to direct the part of that film there. And it's really unfortunate. Like, I mean, nothing against Tommy Lee Wallace. He shows me in this film that he actually has, certainly, and I knew this anyways, but he certainly has some skill behind the camera. He's not a dud behind there. He's got some skill. But man, oh man, I would love to see what would have happened if you could have kept Neil's script and have Dante direct this. I would have loved to have seen what they could have come up with. Now, um, as I found out as well, it was Dino De Laurentiis who owned the rights um, to the film. Um, he kind of rejected Neil's script. He wanted more guts, more blood, more gore. So Carpenter came in and did a rewrite, and then like Wallace, when he was given the reins to direct. I think at that point, then he came in and did another rewrite himself. And in the end, it was Wallace who got the credit for the film, but it was really the three that wrote the script to this film. Um, yeah, I'm really curious to see what would happen if it was kept that way, but it's unfortunate. And Neil said his script certainly had more psychological horror than the physical horror. And this film does go both ways, psychological as well as the physical. And I must say, of the two, it's the physical that gets silly. So yeah, I think it was a good premise that we get in this film, but it's killed by silliness, perhaps some unneeded gore, when the direction may have been to stay psychological and go for chills in that sense, rather than the physical or the gore, and some weird. It's not campiness, but it's just weird goings on as well. It kind of kills the film a bit, I find. Now the story does have absolutely some Invasion of the Body Snatchers inspirations going on. Um, and unfortunately, they work much better in Don Siegel or Philip Kaufman's film of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Those are both great films. Um, but this certainly takes inspiration, as I said. They go into a town where they have silver shamrock, where they make these Halloween masks. I'll get into that in a bit as well. But they go to a town called Santa Maria, which is where Invasion of the Body Snatchers takes place in that film. Now, this film had a budget of $4.6 million. and it didn't do bad at the box office. Not at all. It made 14.4 million at the time at the box office. In today's dollars, that's 2024. It would have made $47 million. So really, it did pretty darn good. The problem is it didn't do anywhere near as good as the other Halloween film. For example, Halloween 2 made $10 million more than this one did. So while it did well at the box office, it was a big disappointment for the distrib- distributors. Whew, I have a tough time saying that word, but I got it out. It was Universal again, as they had done Halloween 2, and then they did Halloween 3, and it was because of the box office returns. They jumped ship, or the rights were sold off at that point. Now, it was released perfect time of year on October the 22nd, 1982, just 1 year after Halloween 2. Um, Now, I remember the poster to this film. Like the first Halloween, boom, that's a great poster. Um, I love it. But Halloween 3, I can show, it's kind of close, but I do have a version of the film. Even though I don't give it a passing grade, I'm going to keep this sucker. I'm going to watch this maybe some other time around Halloween. If I want a Halloween flick, I might give it another watch. But I always like this poster because you have this shape here, or really, I think of it's one of the masks that's kind of like getting warped, a gruesome look, kind of being ripped and torn a bit, over top of these children out trick or treating. Um, and I remember I had the Tyler Halloween 3, and then I think Season of the Witch was right underneath it, and it had this cold metallic look to it, which was kind of cool, no pun intended as well. Um, but what I really liked about it is you had this gruesome looking mask over top of these kids who you would incorrectly think that they're totally safe, away from harm, just having the time of their life, when really they are in trouble in this film. It's the kids out trick or treating who are going to be the victims. And I really like that premise. Now, I'm going to get into the story now and the actors for this film. Now, I really do like the opening to this film, as we see an older, mysterious man, Mr. Grimbridge. Um, he has this Halloween mask on him, and he's running away from this car at night. It's well shot. I like the lights. The music done here by John Carpenter and Alan Howarth for this film. It's good. It's very John Carpentery as it should, and very 80s and very synth. Very good. And I hate to say this, but the problem is it's nowhere near as good as the original Halloween score or the redo in Halloween 2. It can't even tie its shoes. But in saying that, it's still really good and very effective, and really used to bring the scares forth for some people. But it's a very, very good score from John Carpenter and Alan Howarth. But as we see this character running from this car, suddenly um, it's the villains. When they show up, they're really silly to me. It's straight out of like, maybe you need to be Canadian or watch Canadian comedy um, to get this, but it's straight out of like a Kids in the Hall episode, sketch comedy, where you have these businessmen that are out killing people under the cover of darkness. Um, and of course, they have these, I'm going to say they're Dario Argento influenced black gloves as well. Um, but anyways, they track this old man down and kill him in the hospital. One of these businessmen. They're not businessmen. But anyways, but yeah, but I put down. I mean, you must look smart when committing murder. Come on, that's a rule. Um, so after this man is killed in the hospital, he goes out to his car and splashes some gasoline, a little bit of gasoline on himself, lights has a light, and it's party time. Kaboom! His car explodes. Tom Atkins, I really like him. He does actually a great job in carrying this film. He does a great job in the lead. He plays Dr. Chalice, who's the doctor on duty who witnesses this when this happens. Now, his character, he's a butt smoking, hard drinking doc. You come to realize maybe halfway through the film, he's definitely a skirt chaser. Um, that's, that's part of his character. Um, but all this burns inside of this Dr. Chalice. It doesn't make sense. He needs to get to an understanding of why this happened. Why was this guy killed? Why did that guy blow himself up in the car? And then the man's daughter, Ellie Grimbridge, shows up, played by the very lovely Stacey Nelkin. And I think she does a very good job in her role. She does a very good job. Um, she plays the daughter of him. And the two of them together start investigating, and they're led to Silver Shamrock, who are making the masks. Now, I mentioned the company a second time now, and I got to get into this. They have a song. Um, I really don't want to sing it. No, but there is a song, and it's going to do one of two things for you. It's going to annoy the living hell out of you, or you might love it and start singing it yourself like a silly fool. Um, as I said, I saw this when I was 11 years old. And when Justin and I saw this, we laughed all night long because of that song. And it's got the London Bridges Falling Down theme going on because I think it was in public domain. Um, so it's catchy. But um, if it doesn't annoy the living hell out of you, maybe this film might be for you too. I can't see how that would go that way and you loving this film. Um, but anyways, they have this song and it's played on TV and it's promoting these masks from Silver Shamrock. And on Halloween night, they're going to have a giveaway. So tune in at 9 p.m. and there'll be a big giveaway from Silver Shamrock. Put on your masks. You have to do that and tune in and there'll be a big giveaway. So that's the big hook in the film or the big thing going on from this company. Now, the rest of the cast, I must say, it's like any Carpenter film or most Carpenter films. I really like the cast. It's really got that going on here. As well, in there, we have Dick Warlock, who played Michael Myers in Halloween 2. He's one of the businessmen. So I'm going to start calling them the androids. That's what they are. They're androids, they're assassins. So he plays one of them. Nancy Loomis, who was in Halloween and Halloween 2, Annie. She was also in The Fog and Assault on Precinct 13 from John Carpenter. She's in this film too. She plays Dr. Chalice's ex-wife. Um, Interestingly, she is the wife of Tommy Lee Wallace at the same time. So that's cool. As well as a very young Joshua Miller, who I will always remember from Near Dark. Um, Few years after this, a vampire flick, very good. He plays the son, one of the children of Dr. Chalice as well. And Jamie Lee Curtis, it's her voice though. She shows up, or you can hear, I think, announcing curfew in Santa Maria, as well as a telephone operator. You can hear her voice over the line as well. Now, beyond that, they they get to Santa Maria and then end up at a hotel or a motel. The people that you meet there, in my opinion, honestly, just are not quite interesting enough for me. Because you meet them and you know they're all going to die. You know it. It's just like, okay, here's your victims just showing up. You can meet them all and you know they're going to die. It's kind of presented in that way to me. Um, you meet the Kupfer family. Um, I forget the father's name, but anywho, um, and a pissed off lady named Marge, played by Garnet Stevens, who was actually Tom Atkins' wife at the time. Everybody's married to somebody here. Um, who appears as friendly as getting a back rub from a rake, only to find out she actually just hates dealing with this Silver Shamrock company in person. So you're absolutely certain she's going to die now, and quite a grisly death it is. And in fact, everybody there, they all have gruesome deaths. And that might be a highlight to certain people. Um, with her death, though, um, I just found it quite silly. She's messing with a silver shamrock mask, and it's the medallion on the side of it. And then it shoots like this laser beam into her mouth. Um, and it gives her more than just a permanent mohawk. It's party time for her, too. I just found that really silly, very cheesy 80s, but that's what De Laurentiis wanted, and that's what he got. Um, I just found it silly. Now, the other group, the killing of the annoying family, the Kupfers, that worked much better for me. I think it does things quite well in that scene. It is weird for sure. They're all in this room at the Silver Shamrock factory, and it's playing this what's going to be playing on Halloween night. So you are aware of what's going to happen to all these children. You see it happen, which is cool. Um, but they play it, and little Buddy, he's the kid, is wearing the mask, um, and it's lights out. Millions of bugs and a big ass snake come out of his head. Like it's really the mask. You don't see it coming out of his head. It's the mask, but it's very weird, very gruesome, very almost hypnotic, you could say. Um, I like that a lot more. It was memorable and creepy. Uh, I, I I wouldn't put an X on that scene. I thought that was well done and very 80s as well. I thought. So after the kids grab their sweets on Halloween night, it's time for the Silver Shamrock giveaway on TV so that our bad guy, who I haven't talked about yet, Connell Cochran, can destroy the world. Now, this is played by Dan O'Harely. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. I remember him from RoboCop. He's a great actor, Irish old time actor. I'm certain he's been passed away quite a while now, but um, in my opinion, he puts in the performance of the film. He does a great job in his portrayal. Um, and it's no surprise he's the villain. Um, but it's in his acting where that it really comes out. Um, he does it with smiles and reassurance. And trust me, I'm the good guy. I make masks for the kiddies on Halloween so that they can go and have fun, that kind of thing. I love the scene. I will say that because of his performance when he's talking to Atkins. Um, he's got him as his prisoner now in the Silver Shamrock, and he's talking to him about the history of Halloween. I thought he played that wonderfully. He's playing it extremely cold. He's actually showing his true colors. And as I had read in the original script, Neil had this character actually as like a demon, not a warlock, even though it's called Season of the Witch, um, or whatever he is. He was a demon, and I could actually see that coming out in this scene. I was like, oh gosh, there's the real person, the real character is right there. I really like that scene. That I thought he did a tremendous job
Get
in
on
that
that.
scene. And another big question I had, this happens at the end. Um, Ellie, we find out she's been abducted by um, the androids of Cochrane. We find she's actually an android herself now. She's been copied and she's an android. Well, the question I have is if she is an android, and she is, would she not have stopped Dr. Chalice before he proceeded to kill everyone off like he did? Yes, he would have sprung into action and she would have killed him. So that wouldn't have happened. And I found Cochrane's death was a gigantic WTF. Wow. Um, Even as a kid, I was like, what the hell am I watching here? Yeah, and with this scene as well, it showcases some very 1982 effects that were quite dated before the end of the decade, I'm sure. Um, Shooting these white lasers into Cochrane's eyes and his mouth because of the part of Stonehenge he has, I think. It was a giant WTF. It really sank the film at that point. And it's kind of those things there that just sort of brought the film down too far for me to really um want to give this a passing grade. Even though there were certain things I really liked about this film. So yeah, if some of these problems I had or questions I have were answered or given a different finale to these characters, I may have actually warmed up enough to this film to perhaps give it a passing grade. Now, I do like how they're playing the film Halloween on TV before the Silver Shamrock giveaway. I really like that. That's cool. And I do like the ending of Atkins on the phone yelling and screaming at the television, like for the channels to stop playing what they are, to stop this giveaway, only to find out on the third channel it's going to keep playing, coming to the conclusion. It cuts out before it happens, but I know this is not a good ending. The kids are doomed uh, that are wearing the masks. Now, I do like the look of this film. It looks like a Carpenter film. Dean Cundy is the director of photography, and he was in Halloween 1 and 2. And I never looked it up, but I'm pretty sure he's using like a widescreen lens, which is very Carpenter-esque. So it's got that Halloween look, which is a big plus to the film as well. Now, there was a novel released, I think it was in 1984, by Dennis Etchison, who also did the novel to Halloween 2 under the name Jack Martin. And as I read, it actually became a bestseller. Now, so after all that, I would say, is this film as bad as it was originally thought when it came out, and movie critics ate it up or spit it out, more or less, would be more right. I would say no. There's no way it's not that bad. So I would say, yeah, if you're someone that's in for a Halloween tale that has absolutely nothing to do with Michael Myers, maybe you could give it a shot. If you could stream it, that'd be perfect. See if you like it. Um, but I can't give it a passing grade. But anyways, I still enjoyed watching it. Um, that was good. But anyways, I can't wait to bring you my next review. But anyways, have yourself an excellent night. And if you like this video, don't be afraid to like it. And if you want to comment, don't be afraid to do that too. If you like this film, maybe you could tell me what you really like about it. And hey, if you want to, you could subscribe. I've got other videos that you can look at too, and I hope to just keep adding videos as time goes by. But anyways, have yourself an excellent one, and don't forget, stay scared.